Hello, and this is Samuel Brown with my political playlist video. The song that I focused on is "Oh Freedom" by Odetta. This song was estimated to be written in the mid to late 1800s. It's not exactly sure when and who wrote it, but it was released in an album by Odetta, and when she made it popular in 1956, and the reason she did this was because of racism that was unfortunately still taking place this late after the Civil War. It was a part it was released as a part of a spiritual trilogy, also featuring Come and Go and I'm on My Way, all debuted by Odetta. This song was a large part for the civil rights movement. She wrote, this is an image that was taken around the time of the civil rights movement, and it just shows that, for example, this over here says end segregated rules in public schools. We demand voting rights now. This was around the time the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment really started to kick into place and allowing black men and women to really have a fair part in society. Because up to right around this time, it just wasn't allowed, and it was really unfortunate. As I just mentioned, this song focuses on the civil rights movement and racial injustice. While the song doesn't say a lot, what it does have to say is powerful for two main reasons, and then a small third one. The lyrics that I really like for this song are, "And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free." These lyrics are really cool to me. Here's why. As just mentioned, it said, "Before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave." That just shows how horrible the living conditions were for them as slaves and how bad it was for them. I can't imagine what it'd be like to be a slave, being released after being in bondage, like being born and being kept in captivity your whole entire life and finally being released post-Civil War. I see why they wrote so many songs like that. But unfortunately, racism stayed on. Unfortunately, racism isn't something you can just completely eliminate. That's going to be something that's going to be prevalent throughout all communities throughout the world. And unfortunately, America is one of those communities. There have been many civil rights movements, such as this one, just post the Civil War and around when Odetta released this song. The second main one I want to focus on is freedom of religion. I'll restate the lyrics for you guys. "And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free." So I really like this. In this image, you can see how cruelly these African American people are being treated. They're living their lives, and all of a sudden they're on a ship getting shipped to America or some other country, or even staying in Africa, just becoming slaves. It was just truly a horrible place to be. Like, you never knew if you're going to be safe. One day you have a family, you're happy. Maybe you're not the richest person in the world, but you're happy. And the next day you're being shipped off to some foreign country you've never been to. You don't speak their language. And the reason I bring this up is because the black community were able to still understand that their God loved them. Let me restate that for you. Their God loved them. It says, "And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and be with my God free," essentially. This is really powerful to me. It shows that they knew that what was happening was wrong. And thankfully now they are able to express their praise throughout black communities all throughout the world, just with these churches, and they're able to show their love to their God. And now there are black leaders all over the world, and thankfully the civil rights movement seemed to have finally paid off with political leaders such as Obama.